remember 2 years ago, I went to my first life coach school Mastermind and watching everyone present, being so in awe and feeling so alive. And I remember having the thought, there's room for me up there. And I was so proud of myself for even having the thought, instead of thinking, oh, I'm different in some way, that I'm not worthy of it, that I can't do this. And so me being here today is a literal dream come true. It's a manifestation of that thought. And it's an example of what's possible when you remember and root into your inherent value, which is what I want to talk to you about today. You see, I'm only here because 8 years ago, I was ready to end it all. I couldn't find a good enough answer to this question of what is the value of life. And so, content warning here, I'll be talking about suicidal ideation. I was 18, sitting in a mental health hospital where I was admitted for mood stabilization, which is the professional way of saying to make sure I don't kill myself. And, this wasn't anything new to me. I had been experiencing this existential dread and fantasizing about all the ways that I could unalive myself since 5th grade. So 8 years even prior to that. But this moment right here, a week before finals of my first semester in college, that was my rock bottom. It was the only thing I could think about from the second I woke up to the second I went to bed, every single day, 4 months, probably for most of the semester. So now I just need to acknowledge the irony that I'm here today, but moreover here as a certified life coach, because forget about selling me on life coaching, you had to sell me on the value of life itself. Because I thought it was meaningless. I hated it. I thought it was stupid. I thought everyone was stupid. I hated myself. I was not happy, right? So what possible tangible value can I actually offer you in this mastermind when we're talking about creating value? Well, I don't have anything tangible, to be honest with you. I don't have a multiple 6-figure business that I can talk to you about how to build. I don't have a magic funnel marketing strategy that's going to get you fully booked with a wait list in the next 30 days. And I don't have a massive cult-like following on social media, even though, I am part of Gen Z. That's something I don't have. So I can't help you build that either. But what I do have is I have the answer to this question that I found for myself 8 years ago, that I chose to answer, that has kept me here, and not just kept me here, but allowed me to create and live an extremely fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful life with the best people in my life possible over the last 8 years, and that I continue to do so today. So my intention for you is to root you into your inherent value, to remind you of your true self, and give you a framework so that you can lead with that and lead with your soul gifts. When you're able to access your inherent value, you have access to a bottomless reservoir of energy, of creativity, in which now you can actually express your value through. And when you're able to do this, you're not trying anymore. You're just being who it is that you are. Because honestly, I think we all can understand that value is perceived. Just like beauty and how it's in the eye of the beholder, true value is inherent. It's inherent to you. It's how you see the world. And when true value is inherent, it cannot be created nor destroyed, just like how energy cannot be created nor destroyed. This is what we talk about when we talk about you are valuable. You are the value. If you wanted to try to create value, all you have to do is understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? But when you're trying to create value, it feels a lot like when you are trying on a first date, trying to get someone to like you, and you need to puff up your chest. It's the thing that makes you go like, hey, like, look at me, right? Think about manufacturing value, how companies will look at a certain pain point that you have based off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Everyone wants to feel safe, everyone wants to feel good, everyone wants more money, everyone wants to look good, like everyone wants to feel like they're important, that they're making an impact. But very few people actually get to this top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs of self-actualization. And I feel the need to point out to you here that self-actualization is a fundamental need and not just some desire. Because I think especially with life coaching, it can be seen as this luxury thing, but it's actually a fundamental need in our well-being as humans to understand who it is that we are, to feel that we are purposeful, to feel like our life has meaning. So if you're trying to manufacture value, you just take something from here. Make people believe that there's a problem, like how the diet industry made everyone feel like they're fat, and then create a skinny pill and sell that. There you go. You created value. Congrats. But here's the thing. When we've been conditioned as a society to think in this way, to try to create a value, we get really attached to creating this vision. We get really attached to creating a goal. Whether that's a ton of money, however much that is to you, whether it's looking a certain way, getting married, having a family so that you can feel fulfilled, driving the fancy car so you can feel cool and finally be cool, or get to a certain level of achievement so that you can feel important. And when we attach ourselves to this vision, what happens is that we end up having to value certain things in a certain way. So now, let's say that you value this idea of getting to $100,000 in your business. Okay. Now you have to value people, right? But value people in a very specific way. Value a network that can give you power, right? Give you influence, that can introduce you to people. Focusing on clients that can pay you your rate, right? And that looks a certain way. You have to focus on education, certifications, knowledge in a certain way, right? It's not just for the inherent value of learning the thing, learning the skill, it's actually to get more money, right? And also, by the way, you should value fame, because in today's society, you need a huge social media following in order to prove that you are worthy, and so you can make money. And also, you better look the part. So you need to spend money on what you're wearing, where you're living, and what your life looks like so that people believe that you have money that's valuable, and then they give you more money. And then we're left with this existential crisis, this point in which on the journey, either sometime on that path, or when we get there, when we get the thing, when we get married, and we realize we're not happy, or we get to the money and we realize, oh, I still don't feel good enough, I still don't feel confident in myself. We go through all this existential dread because we actually don't know who it is that we are. We don't know why we were doing what we were doing. It doesn't feel authentic to us, and we're just even more stressed and more confused and more anxious and more controlling than we ever have been. And this is what I see as the fundamental flaw in our society, in the way that we have conditioned ourselves, the way that we raise others, the way that we look at life, is that we attach ourselves to this vision, to what we are versus who we are, what we want versus what wants to be created through us. And when we make this the core of our life, then the values, the thing that we actually end up expressing ourselves through, don't look that great, right? And we lose this feeling of meaning. We get to this place where we're like, where's the joy? Where's the happiness? Where's the excitement? Where's the fun? Where's the flexibility? And what we end up being flexible on is who it is that we are. We get flexible on our virtues, on our soul essence. And that's not what we want. So now I want to introduce to you a new approach to life based off of who it is that you are. And before I get into this, I want to tell you how I came to this realization. Because it wasn't just through mentally thinking about it. It was actually a year and a half after I was discharged from a mental health hospital, where I was studying abroad in Australia. And I decided to skip class to go get boba. It was the first time in my life where I felt like there was no pressure, right? I had classes that were all pass, no pass. This course in particular was also recorded, so I could just watch the replay. It was a beautiful sunny day. There was a boba shop that I had never been to that looked really cool, and it was close by enough that I could walk. So I decided to go for a walk, and on this walk, I felt the sun hit my skin, and I felt every single cell in my body light up. I also noticed that as I was walking, I was noticing all the cars that were driving by. I noticed how green the grass was. I noticed people walking their dogs. I noticed the skyline of Melbourne right in front of me. And I felt this small smile creep up on my face. And I didn't know what that feeling was until later, when I looked back and realized that was presence. That was the first time ever in my life that I ever truly felt present and felt true gratitude for the life that I was living. Because up until that point, I had felt gratitude, sure, but it was mental, right? It was a mental experience of your parents immigrated from a communist country so that you could have this opportunity to make something of yourself, right? It was the mental gratitude of, well, there's people who are starving and you have food on your table, so you should be grateful. It was always this mental gratitude that never really translated to anything other than more self-loathing, more confusion on why I was unhappy. And so when I felt this true presence, this true gratitude, I understood like this is the meaning of life right here. This is what's worth living for, is to feel present, is to feel grateful, is to have this opportunity to be who it is that I am, to actually get to experience life and what it has to offer. So in this new approach, we flip the visions, the values, and the virtues on its head, and we actually make who it is that we are, our soul essence, our virtues, that part of you that is able to accept and receive the gratitude of life, the presence of life. That's what we make the core. And that light within you, when that's the core, you're able to express through the values that you have in this physical reality. And this is where you get the difference between, if you want to lose weight, you can do it in a way that, you hate yourself, you're attached to this vision of looking a certain way, that you have to work out 4 times a day, it has to look like, this type of workout and whatever, right? And then you might get to your vision, but you don't feel great, right? That's the difference between that and this fundamental virtues being the core, is that you get to be loving towards yourself. And because you love yourself, now you go and participate in exercise and movement, whatever way that looks to you. Maybe you really also value adventure and curiosity. And so you take care of your health, right? The thing that you value, through going on hikes, going on adventures, trying out a new archery class, right? And that's where you get this beautiful thing where life becomes an experience that you get to co-create with the universe, with God, with whatever it is that you want to call it, the cosmic consciousness that exists. This is where you get to co-create the vision, let go of control, and manifest things that are beyond what you can even think about. When you approach life in this way, you tap into that feeling of presence, that feeling of what is alive for you right now, whatever that may be, that light within you, and that becomes your basis. And the fun thing about virtues is that you don't have to guess what it is. There's actually 6 fundamental virtues of wisdom and knowledge, humanity, transcendence, justice, temperance, and courage that makes up the virtues of a human experience. And when you break this down even further, you actually get 24 characteristic traits. And so this, when you have this combination and you figure out what kind of you lead with, like for example, my sister, she leads her life with love, right? Me, I lead with this transcendence, with this desire to learn more, to have more perspective, and the spiritual side of things, right? And I have friends who are extremely adventurous, who want to go to all the national parks, right? And they go and live their life in this courage, right? And this is how you end up feeling like yourself. When you can tap into those feelings, now guess what? You have a body. You get this vessel to steward your light through, to steward those virtues through. And then that's what ends up looking like what your life looks like now, right? That's where you get the vision. That's how you get how much money you're making. That's how you get, you're traveling to this place versus that place. You're getting to go to national parks versus going to, maybe your local park. This is where you become a marine biologist, or maybe a doctor, or maybe a life coach, right? This is what makes you prefer cats over dogs. This is what allows you to enjoy life in the way that you uniquely experience it. And when I present this thing, it's interesting because it's like, well, do you just not care about what life looks like then? Do you just not have a vision? No. Detachment from the vision does not mean that you do not care about what your life looks like. It simply means that your commitment to your virtues, who it is that you are, is greater than your desire for a certain outcome. You're choosing who it is that you are authentically over this fake version of yourself. You're choosing to love through the expression of your authenticity versus in order to people please, in order to manipulate, in order to get something that you want. So I want to ask you, what is the value of life to you? And if you sit with this, you're going to come to a truth. And inherently, truth is the thing that's valuable. When you understand your truth and you tap into that, right? It's as neutral as the sky is blue. This is why sometimes affirmations don't work, right? Because we don't actually believe that we're beautiful. We don't believe that we can be a great life coach. We don't believe these things because what our actual belief is that's neutral to us is that we can't. And if we can shift our truth into understanding that this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I believe, and you embody that truth, that is where you get authenticity, right? When you lead with your authentic self, this is how you create more value in the world. This is how you create value in your own life. And how you're able to do this is through getting out of the things that block you. The things like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire. It's not that any of these feelings are bad, right? But your vibes matter. I know there's some people who want to say like, no, vibes don't matter. Vibes matter because the frequency that you vibrate at is what people can pick up on. People can pick up on your energy. And authenticity is 4,000 times more powerful than love. It's been shown in studies. If you look at this graph of the scale of consciousness, love is at 500, right? And enlightenment, which is what I believe to be really, truly your embodiment of the truth, this awareness that you have of who it is that you are and where you just are in time and space, this neutrality, that is even more powerful. So when you root into your virtues and you follow this philosophy, you end up being able to create a shift into inherent value and leading with those gifts. You lead with who it is that you are. So comparing these two things, right? I found this really interesting when I was making this presentation, that if you compare Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the scale of consciousness, what you get is this direct correlation where if you think about how it feels in your body to constantly be thinking about what you need, about what you need to feel safe, about what you need, the money that you need, and the scarcity that you don't have enough time, you don't have enough friends, you don't have enough of a network, you don't have enough clients, you don't have enough whatever, you get stuck in this suffering. You get stuck in that low vibration of shame, of feeling inadequate, of feeling guilty, of in this resistance to human life. And then we're able to ascend up through that. Then maybe you're like getting by, right? But at the top, that's where you get to experience peace. So do you only get to experience peace when you finally have everything below self-actualization? No. When you expand your consciousness, you're able to expand your resonance. We are attracted to the things that we resonate with. When people speak their truth, when people share what they're passionate about, when people share, oh my gosh, I just discovered this incredible coffee shop, you all have to go. We can feel the truth in that. We can feel that they're just so embodied in their authenticity. And that's what allows us to be attracted to them. So when you expand your awareness, which we can look at it this way, the scale of consciousness here, we can get out of this three-dimensional experience. When you think about 3D, it's like your physical needs, literally the 3D body. You need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to poop, you need money to survive, right? But when we think about only ourselves and what we need, we're staying in this victim abuser consciousness. We're staying in this thing that we all are here as life coaches have learned to transcend into the 4D. And the 4D is really the thinking mind. This is your ability to shift into courage, right? To speak your truth. You're able to shift into awareness and acceptance of what is it that you actually want? That you're not happy? That you don't want to be here? That maybe you don't even want to be a life coach, maybe you want to be a baker, maybe you don't want to be working your 9-to-5 job and you actually want to pursue this healing career thing. Like, this is where you get into feeling like you have power over your life now. And above that, this is where we get the heart consciousness. If you've been hearing that phrase around, if you've been hearing how we're transitioning as a society to this heart-led consciousness, this is what this is talking about. It is this ability to tap into your presence because there's this non-duality that exists. Nothing's good, nothing's bad, nothing's right, nothing's wrong. It just is what it is. You're able to be in this grounded acceptance of it, which allows you to then move forward in expressing your gifts and expressing who it is that you are. Your role as a coach is to ascend, to descend. To ascend through those layers where you're getting yourself out of the inadequacies, the shame, the guilt, but not from a place of trying to bypass it, but by deeply understanding it. And I want to explain this through this concept of spiraling. We know this for ourselves very well as an experience, and we know this for our clients when they come to us and they're mentally spiraling because they're so uncertain about life. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to respond. They're so triggered, right? And we experience this for ourselves. So I want you to think about you in your life. I define spiraling as this disorienting mental experience created by the friction of our human desire for control, comfort, and certainty, meeting the universal reality that change is the only constant and that reality only exists in the present. So grounding that, it's like the friction that's created by what it looks like versus how it actually feels. What we think we want versus what we actually want. What we say versus what we actually mean. That's where we get this friction, and that's where we get into potential spiraling. You might already know these symptoms very well. The past colliding with the present. You're so triggered and you don't know how to navigate the present moment now. Or the future pulling you out of the present. You're so anxious, you're so stressed, you're so that you get into this constriction, right, of your consciousness. Or your nervous system is extremely dysregulated, you feel really uncomfortable and uncomfortable with your emotions, right? You feel disconnected from your true self, your emotions, and that's what also can create the spiraling. But I want to reframe spiraling for you. If we look at when we are experiencing any of these feelings that make us feel really small, that make life feel really constricted, that makes life feel you don't want to be here anymore, right? What we can do is we can create more awareness around it. And this is, again, not bypassing, but creating awareness. This is what I mean when I say your job is to ascend through these feelings. And then when you're able to do this, you can descend and expand your awareness of the uncomfortable emotions. Because your experience is going to be the totality of all those vibrations, right? You are a human. You can't escape it. You're going to feel these feelings, but it doesn't mean that you stay there. The spiral is actually a very sacred symbol in spirituality. And in this way, when I think about spiraling, it's the flow of life, this constant spiral of life, creating opportunities for enlightenment, for you to be authentic, for you to speak your truth, for you to discover yourself, right? It's an expansion of your consciousness, of your awareness that occurs when you are rooted in the present moment and able to reflect on things like in the past with more awareness than you had at the time, as well as surrender to the future that is unknown. When you're doing this, you are rooted in the truth and you just get to experience life. This is what I call surrendered spiraling. And the symptoms of this is you're choosing to be peaceful in the present moment. You're able to accept your truth. You're able to be honest with yourself. Have the hard conversation with yourself first so that you can be honest with other people. You're able to allow grief rather than push it away and feel this resistance of, I wanted this thing, but it's not happening. You're able to feel the grief of that. You're able to feel the grief of, this is who I thought I was, but that's not who I actually am. You're able to surrender to the future, and you're able to ground in gratitude. Friends, I believe that this framework of virtues, values, and visions has the power for you to live an incredibly fulfilling, joyful, and meaningful life, for you to help your clients create an incredibly fulfilling, meaningful, and joyful life. But I think it goes even beyond that, where we get to, as a society, now shift into a new paradigm where we can see, acknowledge, and allow the light in other people to be stewarded into life. I think this is a life-giving paradigm where instead of trying to extract value and drain someone's life force energy, we're able to give them this experience of their life back. With that, friends, I'm Jen Sui. I'm a soul whisperer, and I focus on helping heal people's self-worth, unblock their intuition, and align with their soul path. I do this as a certified life coach, as a hypnotherapist, as well as a holistic tarot practitioner. And if you have any questions, if you want to connect any further, you can follow me on social media at Jen the Soul Whisperer. You can reach out to me directly. I would love to help answer any questions, any thoughts that came up for you, and connect with you one-on-one. You can email me at jen@jensui.com. If you want to learn more about my work, join my upcoming retreat. You can find all that information on my website at jensui.com. So from the depths of my soul, truly, I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for giving me the space to shine my light, hopefully activating yours, and for sharing this message.